The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will be live.
Greetings, my fellow warriors. Me Canmo, and the topic of the day is: when are you ready to start weight calisthenics? Which are the number to be for you to be able to hit in regard to the basic calisthenics movement before you decide to delve into the wonderful, marvelous world of the weighted calisthenics. And weighted calisthenics, as many of you should know it, is a great way to pack on some muscle after you have taken advantage of the basic calisthenics movement. And it comes handy whenever you are a lighter person and is having a hard time putting on mass using just the basic calisthenics. And as opposed to what people think that calisthenics itself in its own will not help you build muscle, that's a lie. Everything will be defined by your genetic makeup and the amount of work and dedication that you put into it. And yes, you could build muscle using just street calisthenics. Eventually you will have to take it on to the next level, and that's when the question gets sparked: when should you start weighted calisthenics? And the numbers I'm going to give you right now are pretty subjective and based on my personal experience. It's very anecdotal, and so are a lot of the numbers out there people put out. Now people come up with random numbers. Sometimes those numbers don't even make sense. But if you trust me, those numbers I'm going to give you based on error and trials are going to work, and it's going to be up to you to follow my advice or not, which I suggest you do. So we're going to start with the extreme option, the extreme pathway to take, which will be it's going to sound kind of impossible, but as soon as you're able to do 5 pull-ups, because many people will go to 10, 15, sometimes 20 before you get to start weighted calisthenics. You can start weighted calisthenics as soon as you can do 5 pull-ups. The only problem is you will be very limited in how much mistake you can do in your program, because it's going to be very taxing on you. Because being able to do a 5 pull-up will put you roughly in the range of being able to pull about 5% extra of your body weight, itself, and 5% of your body weight as a 1 repetition maximum. Would not be substantial enough for you to milk a lot of volume without taxing your nervous system, right? That's why, unless you have like a specific goal that keep you from refraining yourself, abstaining yourself from grinding through the endurance part of the calisthenics before you take on the weighted calisthenics, unless you're in that position, I would not suggest you to go that route. But if you happen to already be athletic and just not proficient in calisthenics, and you happen to be able to crank 5 pull-ups with good form, hey, why not? You can even start working on the one-arm pull-up by working on the mystery pull-up and stuff like that as soon as you hit 5 regular pull-ups, as opposed to what people will make you believe that you have to hit a really high amount of basic repetition, which will be suggested, of course, because you want to milk out the benefits of the basic movement first before you get into the weighted. But like I said before we started, this is the most extreme pathway that you can attempt to take on. And so yes, as soon as you hit 5 pull-up, you could pretty much start working on weighted calisthenics. And like I said, roughly 5%, maybe more depending on each individual. You could start working with weighted calisthenics and couple a lot of singles, with your max repetition, and along with other day where you work on volume by using your body weight version of, of the pull-up in the training, and you could pretty much mix and match and come up with something that gets you to evolve and get stronger over time. And in terms of dips, for example, as soon as you have even 5 deep, you could start working on weighted calisthenics. Maybe a little more, because the dip is a little easier than the pull-up. So push it maybe to 8 to 10. Let's say 10. So 10 dip, you should be able to start doing some weighted, including some weighted dips in your regimen. You don't have to wait to crank 30 or something like that in a row before you start, even though I would suggest so. So that's the most extreme pathway. Being able to crank 5 pull-ups and 10 deep, there you go. You're ready to start your weighted calisthenics. For you to find out your maximum rep range and start working with the percentage, I would assume that you have a good understanding of programming, and there you go, you have it. Now the second pathway, which is the one I would advise most people, the one that I apply to most of my clients, I suggest the client to reach a minimum of 15 pull-ups. 20 will be pushing it, unless I see in him the potential, or in her the potential to milk more, because it's still hard. Because sometimes you once you reach a certain number, and you start stalling at that number, if you have a hard time getting past that 15, is taking too long, and we on a short, we have like an ultimatum, then I will not wait for you to get 20 pull-up. But if you want gifted guy that's happened to be progressing fast, I will push it to 20 pull-up, so we can milk as much as possible that movement before we can start using weight. And for you to be able to do that many repetition, it gives you more leeway for you not to tax your nervous system by using by doing the weighted calisthenics, especially if your program is loaded. So 15, as a general rule, will be the number or the minimum to reach in the second segment, the second option or pathway that I suggest most people to do. 15 pull-up, get you ready to start like packing some extra weights, and by then you will definitely be able to do a substantial amount of weight for your maximum repetition, and factor in substantial percentage, and work with whatever rep range that will work. That would apply to your goal that you're seeking, and your workload, or total workload of the cycle. And in terms of deep, I will go to 25. 20 will be not enough in my book to start doing weighted calisthenics, because once you can do 15 push-up, pull-up, my instinct will be to have you hit at least 25 deep before we can start using weighted calisthenics. To 30, if you want to push it, it will be even more fun, because dips again are a lot more accessible to most people than the pull-up. So I would say 25 deep and 30 if you want to push it and milk the movement as much as possible. Again, it varies individually, and some people just can take too much load, too much volume without the connective tissue getting inflamed. So for those type of people, you may want to start earlier and without pushing too much in the maximum repetition field. So yes, in the second option, the second pathway, as soon as you hit 15 pull-up and 25 deep, you're good to go to start diving into the weighted calisthenics. And it is pretty interesting and pretty fun. But even when you are doing the weighted calisthenics, I would suggest you to still sharpen your basic movement, because at the end of the day, you still need to be technically efficient at those movements. And if you wanted to work on some skills in the future, you being proficient at the basic movement will be more will come up handier than being able to move an unlimited amount of weight, added to your body, because that's one side, that's one downside of the weight calisthenics. I observe the people who start too early with the weight calisthenics, they get caught up into the numbers, that they forget the art itself of moving your body through space, and they get less and less efficient at skill, and just pretty much convert to they become some hacked version of pretty much powerlifters. So that's that. Weight calisthenics is very interesting, and it's very useful to pack on some muscle, and yes, is to be used sparingly unless you compete in the street lifting also, and that's that. So let's recap. We have the first option, which suggests you to start weighted pull-up. As soon as you hit 5 full, you should be good. As soon as you hit 10 deep, you should be good to start. That's the most extreme. That gets you to start the earliest, which I would not suggest unless you have specific goals, or you just can't afford to be patient, which is a virtue that will get you far in this journey. So second option will be as soon as you hit 15 pull-up and 25 deep, or if you want to push it, 20 pull-up and 30 deep. So between 15 and 20 pull, and between 25 and 30 deep, you should be good to go to start adding some weights to the movement. By then, you want to milk as much as possible the basic movement itself, and you're ready to add up, some weights, and you should be good. It should be a good mix for great results, in that domain. So that's that. Hopefully it was useful. This is your boy Mechanimal. Like, comment, subscribe, spread the word, and I can't state it enough. Do like, it does help a lot the channel, and that's something that as content producer I feel grateful about, and aiming to to have people do, and that's that. Everything is, and we always be Mechanimal way. Salute, peace.
The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will be live.